The Hog's Eye is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of thehogsty.com.
By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome back to the Hog Style. It's the post-game show for the Texans, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. It's the Texans over Washington in a close game that's going to have a huge impact on the rest of the season. My name's Sean Conti, and Alex Zeese and Steve Thomas are here with me, ready to throw a blanket over my shoulders and tell me it's going to be okay. So, we could do the stats, we could do the recap, but we absolutely have to talk about the big number one story coming out of this game, which is obviously this devastating injury suffered by Alex Smith in the third quarter of this game. So, guys, let's just start with that. Big picture thoughts. I know we have tons of things running through our head, but obviously this is going to dominate conversation for the next week. So, what's going through your head?
Sean, you're underselling it. This is not just going to impact like the next year. This might impact the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years for this team.
Alex, you're overselling it.
Oh, we got a spread.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
let's not go crazy. I mean, it was a horribly brutal injury. It was awful. It was ugly. I tweeted a photo of the TV screenshot out. I didn't really want to be morbid, but I want to make sure everybody saw it. His ankle was
Going the wrong way. Let's put it that way.
Or his lower leg, one of the two looked broken.
Right.
His leg was his foot was bent to the left.
Right.
It was ugly.
If you've ever broken anything in your foot area when it's pointing like the way that you know it shouldn't be, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, all my point was, I mean, before you write the guy off and send him off into Joe Theismann level retirement, let's wait to see what is actually broken, because there are different levels of broken.
Sure.
If you break, if you break a whole bunch of bones in your ankle, it's one thing. If you break your leg in such a way that it requires surgery and it has nerve damage and all these things, that's one thing. If it's not that serious a break, that's another thing. We have no idea right now.
No, of course we haven't seen the X-rays. Of course not.
Yeah, and what you're getting at is if Alex Smith is done and has to retire, because it's like the Joe Theismann anniversary and all that stuff, then it impacts the team, for years to come. But I mean, I just refuse to. I don't refuse.
Steve,
I just think
you
it's
have to acknowledge that this has got to be a season ender. At least,
of course it's a season ender.
It's definitely a season ender.
This is a devastating.
But
Alex is
here's
saying
why
it
I'm
affects the
saying,
team for 5
regardless,
years.
even if Smith can come back next year, let me tell you why this could change things for us for 3 years or longer. Colt McCoy came in and looked better in a quarter and a half than Alex Smith has looked all season.
Yes,
immediately. That is why this could change everything. Let's say we got how many games left now? 5, 6, something like that? 6.
Yeah.
What if Colt goes 4-2? Why would you ever put Smith back in at that point?
Because Alex Smith is making a tremendous amount of money.
Money don't win football games.
Yeah,
Money is the most important thing.
Money don't win football games. We saw Robert Griffin sitting on a bench with $15 million a year on a contract. Money don't win football games.
Money is the most important thing always. I don't think that the Redskins are going to bench a quarterback that has that amount of money left, and that amount of guaranteed money left. I just don't buy it. He might retire, and then in which case we have another discussion. Maybe he won't be ready for next year. Then we have another discussion.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows how bad this is? That could be anything from like a ligament injury to
something. Career ending. But assuming he's healthy, though, I just don't think the Redskins are going to put a quarterback on the bench that has that kind of money left. I just don't.
I gotta stick with Alex on this one. I think if we make a deep postseason push or something, especially considering the context of this game, without Alex Smith's pick 6 there, and Colt McCoy obviously came in and did really, really well, like Alex said. I mean, I just have a hard time seeing them getting away from that if it's really working. But let's get more specific. Steve, do you have stats of these two guys that we can look at side by side and just see exactly how it was different?
Okay, first of all, Smith's injury took place with about 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
Right.
At that point, he was having statistically his worst game of the season by far.
So almost perfectly, Smith played 2/3, Colt played 1/3.
Yes, almost perfectly correct. Smith was 12 for 27, 135 yards, 5 yards per attempt, 0 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, quarterback rating of 29.1. Colt McCoy, in about 18 minutes of play, game clock play, was 6 for 12, 54 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 sacks, 90.3 yards. 90.3 quarterback rating, and rushing, because he rushed a lot, five rushes for 35 yards.
Right, which is,
That's the comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the offense moved better with McCoy in the game. He looked more comfortable. All the scrambles made me nervous because he's literally the only quarterback not named Jordan Reed or Trey Quinn.
Right.
On the roster at that point, it's like, dude, you need to stop.
I mean, were you not surprised a little bit that they didn't say Matt Ioannidis was going to be the backup quarterback at one point just because he was the backup everything else last week?
It's what you dream of, Alex. I know it is. I was surprised. I mean, play number one was a Colt McCoy scramble. I was very surprised at that.
And not even a scramble. That was like an option play, a called run.
I didn't mean to call it a scramble. You're right. I mean, it was a call play. And the last thing we need to see is Jordan Reed or Trey Quinn lining up at quarterback because they played in high school.
Right. Hey, we're going to run a lot of the veer if that happens, right?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, but look, it's true and accurate to say that Smith wasn't good today. I didn't think he was playing nearly as bad as some of you probably think, but he had a terrible day. And
2 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean,
two ugly interceptions at that. One lost us the game.
The pick six, I put more on Reed than Smith. But either way, he was having a terrible game, and either way, Colt McCoy looked better. I mean, Colt only completed half of his passes, so he didn't have a particularly good game from a completion percentage standpoint, but the offense ran much better with Colt in the game.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. But that having been said, we'll see what happens next week. Nobody game plan for Colt McCoy.
He threw basically like a red zone touchdown or a deeper strike touchdown than we see Alex Smith playing 9 weeks out of 10. That's for sure.
I think Colt seems to have a better I hate to say a better grasp. Colt just seems to be more comfortable in the offense for some reason.
Well, he's been in it for 8 years or whatever. He's been here forever. And
that's right, and he's willing to take the shot.
Right.
I mean, I didn't really like the deep ball to the deep sideline route to Doxson because the safety was there, over the top, and
just
that's what broke
the issue.
It. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like that play, but I mean, overall, I have not a lot of complaints with the way Colt played today. Certainly coming off the bench, in an unexpected and awful circumstance.
Right. Well, I mean, there's some other things that are going to have to be discussed when it comes to this, namely, we need a backup quarterback now. I mean, do you settle for just go grab Kevin Hogan off the couch and say, well, you were here in preseason, you know some of the playbook and live with it? Or do you go find somebody, maybe a slightly more established quarterback who's out there? I mean...
Or do you trade for somebody?
Yeah, well, no, you can't. It's too late to trade.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're past the trade deadline. I mean, I'm not wild about Kevin Hogan, just because he looked just atrocious.
No, I understand that. He was struggling.
I mean, J.P. Finley was online, during the game talking about Sam Bradford being available.
I forgot Sam Bradford was available.
Yeah, I mean, but he's, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do worse in an emergency than Sam Bradford.
You could do way worse.
Yeah. So I would tend to think if that's the choice, at least, Bradford would be better than Hogan. I mean, Nate Peterman is, I believe, isn't Nate Peterman
hard pass there. He's got the worst quarterback rating in the history of the NFL.
He's awful. Yeah,
I mean, you're not going to like it, but I would at least have to consider Kaepernick because you need somebody.
Let me just tell you right now that I'm not watching the Redskins anymore if Colin Kaepernick's on the team.
I know you're not, but I'm about winning football games, and you need somebody.
Some things are more important than football games to me, and Colin Kaepernick is it. He's a hypocrite, and he's a coward, and I'm done watching the Redskins if they sign him, period.
I don't care. Sign him. Bring him in. I need to win football. Football win.
Y'all are on your own with the Hogsty if Colin Kaepernick's on the team.
Oh, God.
We'll
dead
serious.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
I'm dead serious.
Let's just leave it out.
All right.
Tell me this, guys. Do you think at the end of the game there, when I know, we fell 5 yards short of whatever the range we really needed to be for him to sink that field goal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game there, when we're partially marching up the field, they're rushing back to the line, they're spiking the ball, they're at least marching a little bit. Does Alex Smith come in a drive like that and move the ball at all?
No.
I mean, we haven't seen evidence of it this year.
Right.
That's right.
We've seen it in other teams. We've seen him do it, just not this year with the Redskins.
Well, Steve, and you kind of tried to undersell it a little bit, but a lot of it is that Colt knows this offense. He's been here for it.
Said he didn't.
Yeah. Well, but you were trying to say you were trying to undersell it a little bit when you were talking.
I just said that I didn't think Alex Smith had quite as bad a game as his stats indicate because he had 2 bad drops. I put more of the blame on the pick six on the receiver than I did the quarterback.
The other one though was just on him.
Oh, the other one was terrible.
Yeah,
the other one was definitely
on him. Anyway, I think Colt understands the guys he has around him a little better. Because he's been around them longer, and I think you're right. I think Smith probably doesn't even get us into that long shot field goal range.
Probably not. I mean, probably not. I mean,
not this year. Maybe in a year or two if he comes back.
Colt seems to be a type of guy who is a consummate pro. Who always seems to be ready whenever he's called upon.
Right.
Now I would say that. Just as a point to be had, he's been on the injury report for a right thumb all year long. I don't know why a thumb keeps the guy on the injury report for 10 weeks.
Well, it's his throwing hand.
Hopefully somebody will ask Jay Gruden about that since now that Colt is a starter, because I'd really like to know. Right. It didn't seem to affect him today at all, so I don't know what that's about.
He's always standing on the sideline with his thumb up his head.
Maybe that's it.
It's more of a numbness issue.
Yeah. Look, we talked about this a little bit before the episode started, but I think it bears mentioning. This is the first time you saw a lead change. This is the first time you saw some fight back from the Redskins. I'm putting a lot of that on Colt.
You want to know what the last game, Zink, can anybody name the last game Colt started?
It was
It's pretty ironic.
Game versus the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, it was a Cowboy game in Dallas.
Is that right?
Yeah. And guess what? No, that was the game the Redskins won. That Colts had a pretty decent game. And
it was like 19-16 or something like that. Low-scoring game.
And we're going back to that.
Yep.
He's going to start against the Cowboys again next week.
Yep.
I'm losing track of all the Colt McCoy eras. They come and go so quickly.
There's not an era. It's like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Although I would say this much, though, that at one point in time, early in Jay Gruden's tenure, Colt was favored over both Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins by Jay Gruden.
Right.
That's right.
I think Colt's biggest problem is that he just doesn't have the big arm that most starters have. If he had the arm, if you could mix Colt's arm with like Kirk Cousins, or with like Robert Griffin or Kirk Cousins' arm or somebody, he'd be a solid starter.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean part of that was injuries he got when he was younger. He kind of wrecked his arm when he was, I don't know, a rookie or something like that. But I want to talk about something else when it comes to the offense real quick. Absolutely. And that is Doxson got absolutely mugged throughout this game. And I saw people complaining that he should play through it and stuff. How did the refs not give him a single call for any of those things that they obviously called on Josh Norman later? I
thought the refs were atrocious the entire game.
I hate to complain about refs, but that was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I refuse to put the loss on the refs or anything because that's just dumb. But I thought the refs missed a whole bunch of calls. I thought they called a bunch of ticky-tack calls on the Redskins. The Preston Smith roughing call was ridiculous. The Josh Norman holding call, one, was just absurd, and two, that really affected the Redskins' chances to win the game.
Yeah.
Or at least to have the winning drive.
Yeah. Frankly, it looked like it happened after the guy was tackled.
And it wasn't a hold
Watson.
in the first place.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. So I thought that the refs negatively impacted the Redskins' chances today, which is a shame.
Nothing we're not used to.
And you could argue that Doxson was interfered with on the deep ball from Colt there in the last drive. Because
there was one before that though that he also looked like was clear interference, and they didn't call it.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, let me run through the rest of the stats real fast, just because I had them in front of me. Rushing-wise, Adrian Peterson, 16 for 51, 3.2 yards per carry. Byron Marshall, 2 carries, 5 yards. Jordan Reed was the leading receiver, 7 receptions, 71 yards on 11 targets, 1 touchdown. Trey Quinn, 4 receptions, 49 yards on 4 targets. Josh Doxson was 3 for 32 on 7 targets. Michael Floyd, 1 for 18 on 3 targets. Maurice Harris had a quiet day, 1 for 13 on 4 targets. That is
the streak ends.
That's Redskins offense. On the Texans side, Deshaun Watson was 16 for 24 for 208 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Quarterback rating of 72.9. Lamar Miller, 20 carries, 86 yards, 4.3 yards per attempt. Alfred Blue was 8 for 46. Sean Watson was only 3 for 7 on the ground. The leading receiver was Kike Kuti. 5 receptions, 77 yards on 9 targets. DeAndre Hopkins, 5 for 56 and 1 touchdown. And it goes down from there. So that's offensive stats.
God. Okay. An assault of numbers there on us. Gotcha. What else do we want to say about Redskins offense? I mean, Steve, we talked a little bit about Doxson. Adrian Peterson, I heard it said at one point by the announcers, he's up there with Riggins now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's got 105 touchdowns now, which actually is one more than John Riggins. So if he gets a handful more, he's going to move up to like 4th or something in the league. Look, I thought from a rushing standpoint, it went pretty much like we thought. I mean, we told you guys how good of a rushing defense the Texans were.
Yeah.
And honestly, Colt McCoy boosted the quarterbacks together. McCoy and Alex Smith both together were 9 carries for 68 yards.
Above Peterson.
Take
better
them,
than Peterson.
Yeah, take them out, and the Redskins had a game on the ground like you might expect against a quality run defense like that. And so I mean, what we had here, we had to have the offense or the passing game kind of carry the day. Jordan Reed had a good day. They tried to run the offense through him. I mean, it just amazes me that Josh Doxson just disappears in these games. But I thought Colt had a much better sense. I thought Colt used the wide receivers much better than Alex Smith did, and much better than Smith has done kind of all year.
Yeah.
So that part's good.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It was a close game. I think, like we said, this comes down on offense to turnovers. We made mistakes with turnovers, and that cost us the game. Without that, we did more than enough. So, I mean, Smith played a little bit below average. McCoy obviously did a little bit better than we usually see in the passing game for his limited action. It evened out. We should have done enough. It was just that costly pick six and a couple mistakes that cost us this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... this game was actually really lost early, and the Redskins mounted a decent comeback to try and win it. That's really what it was.
We saw some fight back. I mean, that is enough to put me in a good mood coming out of this game.
Yeah, we haven't seen that all year. It took till game 10.
Yeah, this is the first loss where the Redskins were in it.
Yeah.
They've been blown out in the other 3 losses and looked terrible, and this was a game, that they were in, until the final moments. And that's all in a loss. That's all I expect. I'm not going to get too devastated over a loss that they were in and they fought hard again. It's the ones that they just look terrible and they look like they don't care. Those just drive me insane. They really do. And that's not what today was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I agree completely. Let's switch on over then a little bit. Talk about defense. Sound good?
Sure.
Okay.
So let's see. We got some defensive stats, I'm sure.
Want me to go defensive stats?
Those?
Yeah, real quick. Okay. Clinton Dix was the leading tackler, 13 total tackles, 11 solo.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Foster, 10 tackles, 9 solo. Zach Brown, 8 tackles. Deron Payne, 7. Preston Smith, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Anderson, all 4. It goes down from there. Sacks, Preston Smith got a sack. DJ Swearinger got a sack. Ryan Kerrigan got a sack. Interceptions, Mason Foster got 1. Preston Smith got 1. And in terms of the Texans, I'll just say that we'll just do sacks for the Texans. Here, J.J. Watt had 1 sack and 1 sack called back because of a penalty. Kareem Jackson, Tyrann Mathieu, Jadeveon Clowney, and Whitney Merciless all had another sack. And so that is, 5 total. And then interceptions. For the Texans, it was Justin Reed who had the pick six, 101-yard pick six, and Brendan Scarlett had the other one. And about the pick six, the TV I didn't look this up, but the TV announcers said that was the longest pick six in Redskins history.
Yeah, they said it was 105 yards, which it didn't look like he was that deep. But
they said 100. It was 101.
Yeah.
I don't know what they said, but it was 100.
They said 105.
It was 101.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of defense, what you have to be disappointed with on defense is we made yet another average running back. A couple average running backs look talented.
Right.
I thought the defensive line was particularly bad on that. At times they got blown off the line of scrimmage. Mason Foster, I mean, dude, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He's been bad mostly all year. He looks like he's running with
up and down.
He looks like he has leg weights on his ankles or something when he runs. Was it Alfred Blue? I can't remember if it was Miller or Blue there late in the game, turned the corner on him, and it looked like me chasing Alfred.
Yeah, they got up
Miller,
10, 15 yards pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it was Miller, not Blue.
I think so.
It looked terrible. And so Mason, I think he's been a great guy to the fans and all that this year. I mean, I realize that, but I mean, you got to be honest in his critique of his play. I think I've seen far more bad than good. Just with his lack of athleticism, his amazingly ability to not be in the right place. But he's also the middle. He's also the middle linebacker, one of the middle linebackers who were the defense is literally designed to funnel tackles to the middle linebackers.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
He's going to get those. That doesn't mean he's played well.
He's been struggling. Brown's been struggling. I mean,
Brown's had a quiet year.
Well, Brown's been quiet because they've been replacing him with Halsey or. Is it Harvey Clemens? Who are you using again?
Harvey
Clemens. I don't know why I said Halsey. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of that, with the roster moves we had real fast.
Yeah.
We want to do those. We had roster moves since the pregame show, and so the roster moves. Byron Marshall is obviously activated. He played today. They waived Brian Quick to get Marshall on.
Right.
Quinn obviously was up. Halsey, who was on the PUP list, was waived and then placed on the practice squad. And then Jerron Christian, IR, Mac Brown cut. We said that already.
Yep.
So that's roster moves.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so, our inside linebackers have been struggling. I think both of those guys have been, it's fair to say, this year. And Harvey Clemens, comes in the situational stuff, and he's been doing pretty well. I have no complaints about how his play has been.
I mean, he didn't show up on the stats really this year, today, but yeah, I mean,
overall, I'm thinking
he's playing the role that Stuart Cravens
was supposed to play. Yeah,
yeah, and Harvey Clemens isn't a whiny crybaby, and so he can actually do it.
Right. It's those USC guys, man. All they do is cry.
You know what? There's been a lot of USC guys who've busted out of the NFL.
There has. I think there's something to that. But anyway.
Repressed anger.
Yeah.
Look, they scored 14 points on offense. They got a pick six that gave them 7 points.
Right.
But we did more than enough on defense. You can nitpick it away in a lot of different ways, but I think at the end of the day, this should have been more than enough.
The defense is performing well, and even though Foster's been having issues, I mean, he was involved in both our turnovers early on.
Yeah,
well, here's what you can say about the defense, I think. They had a terrible start to the game.
Yeah.
They let Houston have 2 long drives for points. One of them ended up in a field goal, but that was, still it was points. But they recovered nicely, and they had several quality stops late in the second half, and particularly late in the game. And so I thought they recovered nicely. I mean, overall, I think what we thought was a quality run defense at the beginning of the year has proven to be an average run defense. But it's still better than last year, so they made improvements.
Yeah.
But I don't think this defensive line, which looked like an all-star group early, is really quite what we thought yet.
It's still very good.
All young. They're all, I would call them good, not very good. I mean, they're all young and they'll get better. At least it's been an improvement, but this isn't a defense that is wowing anybody at this point.
Sure.
I'll say that much. But, yeah, listen, they clamped down when they needed to most today. There's no doubt about that.
And you know what? I'd rather you make second half adjustments and, be better in the second half than get beaten in the second half. That's always kind of my theory on it.
And the Texans are a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good offense, and they played them pretty well. If not for that pick six, we probably won this game.
I guess, maybe if the fans just cheered that much harder, maybe Josh could play just a little bit better.
Well, speaking of that, I thought the fans were noticeably more into this game this week.
I'm still just irritated.
Yeah, I know
by
you
that
are,
comment.
and I understand it, but like I think maybe something he said worked. Fans seemed a little more into this one.
That's right. He got what he wanted.
Well, you know why,
kept
though?
cutting to him, we never see that.
Also, fans were more into it after Alex Smith went out. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Well, I mean, they were more into it because the game was close and there was a comeback pending. That was why they were into it. They didn't look terrible, and it wasn't a blowout. It was a good game to watch, and so they were into it. It's amazing how that works,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the home team doesn't look horrible, it's amazing that the home fans get into it.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Hey, I missed whatever happened because I looked away for 2 seconds, but what happened with Clinton Dix coming off the field?
Oh, it looked like a concussion protocol kind of pull him off the field thing.
The booth.
It looked totally fine.
The NFL official booth that the NFL has a guy upstairs looking for this sort of thing, and they identified Clinton Dix and pulled him off the field. That's what happened. Now, the results of that, I can't tell you.
Well, he was back on the field later, so I'm assuming fine.
He came back on.
Yeah.
Right, so he must have been fine.
But
that's what happened.
And you know what? Like, I know it's annoying, and you sometimes wonder if it impacts the game. But with the NFL's new safety stuff about concussions, you got to just live with that kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a quote from John Keim from a few minutes ago while we've been recording. Now, Keim is at Jay's presser right now, and he wrote, Jay Gruden says they'll have 4 to 5 quarterbacks come in. Didn't give any names.
All right.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's one.
All right, so everyone on the show, pick a quarterback real quick.
Oh, my God. Don't make me. I don't want to pick amongst the bottom of the barrel people that are available right now.
Hey, I was about to advocate that the Redskins go drag Trent Green out of the booth and put him in uniform because that dude looks like he's 25 years old.
Yeah, he still looks pretty good and he's got to be your age, right? Mid-40s?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. I mean, I think he is. He looks young and in shape. So sign up Trent Green. You want a name? I'll give you Trent Green. Oh, here's the other name. Okay, here's the other input. This is a quote from. This is not a quote, but this is Keim reporting on what Jay said. Redskins coach Jay Gruden said Alex Smith broke his tibia and fibia and will require immediate surgery. So this is the worst kind of break, as
that
opposed
ain't no
to the
ankle.
good kind of break.
That's a leg.
Tibia and fibia are not ankle.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your whole leg. That's both of them.
That's lower and upper.
I don't know. Do you guys know off the top of your head what the general future prospects are for someone who completely snaps their leg?
I'd hate to. speculate.
I think this might be a research assignment level question.
Yeah, we should definitely put up a post about this. I would assume that guys don't have a long history of coming back.
Well,
I think
Chris
Kamal, since he's not here, needs to be the one to do the research.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
Well, and if we're talking about leg breaks, I don't remember what Thompson broke last year, but he had a leg break.
Good point. Yeah, I feel like that was like a fracture or like a...
No, I think he had a full break. I just don't remember what it was.
We could speculate all day. The point is, for this season, Alex Smith is done.
Yeah.
And it's now the Colt McCoy show.
Right.
And we'll have a backup. If they're bringing in 4 to 5 quarterbacks, that would tell me that probably Kevin Hogan isn't probably one of them. Yeah, I would think.
Well, he might be one of 4 or 5, but they're like, well, we're not going to just let Kevin Hogan have the job.
Right, give him the keys to the castle.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Go get me one of these, the guys from the Washington Valor or something. That's what I'll root for.
Well, I think more than that, I think they probably need to look at some of the practice squad quarterbacks out there who've been in an NFL program this year. Mm-hmm. Some of these younger rookies who've looked good.
What's Nick Sudberg doing right now?
Nick Sudberg is on the active roster, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Never mind.
I believe so.
Yeah, he can snap the ball backwards. Right? I don't know if he can throw it forward.
You said Sudberg. You meant Sudfeld.
I'm sorry, Nate Sudfeld. That's what I meant.
Sudberg is available to play quarterback if the Redskins wanted to let him try it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm kind of glad you brought up quarterbacks again because I meant to talk about.
Let's just be honest. We could do a whole show about the whole quarterback situation now.
We have done a whole show about the quarterback situation.
Oh, I think it's fair. What did you guys see from the offensive line today? Because we marched out today, and I saw it was Rouillet, it was Bergstrom, it was Cooper.
Right.
I think,
yeah.
Too. So hot off the presses.
Well, they gave up 5 sacks.
Yeah,
but they also gave up 5 sacks against arguably 2 of the better pass rushers in the league.
Yeah, they gave up 5 sacks, and the lead running back had 3.2 yards per attempt. It wasn't good.
No. It
wasn't
not.
even passable. It wasn't a total disaster. But yeah, I mean, if you have Jadeveon Clowney versus Jonathan Cooper, that's generally not going to end well.
Right.
It's not going to go well for you. No. Yeah, I mean, both quarterbacks were totally under siege. Colt did a lot of scrambling. I mean, you said it. I mean, it would make me nervous a little bit.
Smith was under siege, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. No, I said both quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, that speaks for
There was one moment where the Clowney sack on Colt where somebody on our blog was bitching about, he should have rolled out and scrambled. And it's like, he didn't even have time to roll out and scramble.
What do I always say about the people on our blog?
I know.
The only thing they scramble is eggs, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
I thought there was one. I thought that play you're talking about, I was convinced we were about to see Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah, when
it looked like he got kind of
Clowney,
clotheslined there at one point.
He got right around the guard without even trying, yes.
Hey, there's your backup quarterback. Throw Reed in there at QB if.
Well, the sideline reporter, I forget her name. Oh God, the sideline reporter this week did say during the game, if you didn't hear it, Sean, that she asked Gruden, and Gruden said, or she reported that Jordan Reed and Trey Quinn were the official emergency quarterbacks today.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I didn't hear them say that, but that makes complete sense.
We didn't just make that up. We didn't make that up.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Reed did play quarterback, I think, up to his freshman year in college or sophomore year. Something like that. He played...
Something like...
Yeah.
I think he came into Florida as a quarterback, and they transferred him immediately.
Right, but he was like Tim Tebow with a shittier arm, so...
Yeah, right. And Quinn was just a high school quarterback.
Wasn't he a highly regarded recruit, though, out of like high school going into college?
Quinn, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
and Quinn was not. Quinn was just a high school quarterback. He wasn't a college-worthy prospect.
No.
At quarterback.
Yeah.
Reed was, right.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you put me in that situation, I'm going to go with Reed just because he played longer at quarterback.
Well, and he's a more established vet. I mean, you're talking about a rookie who's playing his first game.
Right.
You don't want to do that to the guy.
And he's not a big guy either.
Yeah, I mean, and he's just getting used to being a receiver. You wouldn't want to do that to him.
Yeah, plus put it behind that offensive line. He's already had 500 concussions.
Oh, yeah, by the way,
a couple more.
By the way, here's Trey, you're the quarterback, and there's J.J. Watt.
Right.
Go to town. Congratulations on your first
There's
game.
J.J. Watt. You're missing 3 linemen. Yeah,
This is where legends are made, buddy. Right. All right, what else do we have to get off our chests about this game before we put this one to bed officially? I mean, I feel like we said the big thing, which is that without mistakes, this was so winnable. We almost even won it by the skin of our teeth there.
Here's, I guess, what I wanted to say. What I wanted to ask about was the final play. Now, Jay decided to try to kick the 63-yard field goal over either a Hail Mary or a very quick short out route.
Well, not short because it was 4th and 10.
I know it was it 4th and 10 or 4th and 8, but yeah, I mean, I by short I meant not down.
Right. Oh yeah, but you have to get past the sticks.
Yeah, and so what would have been, and you had to do it in less than 8 seconds. And so what would have been the better odds? Because I don't think anybody thought. I guess maybe Hopkins has done that in practice. Maybe.
Yeah. We know him as a strong leg kicker. There is that.
Yes, and some of those 56 or whatever it was, 53s that he's hit looked like they had a little more zip on them, that they could have gotten a couple more yards. So he's been close to that.
I'm not quibbling with the decision. I thought it was an interesting choice because I just didn't expect. I didn't think that was a very high probability kick, and I don't really blame Hopkins too much for not being able to kick 63 yards.
No, absolutely.
But the odds of a Hail Mary are less,
especially with Colt McCoy, who doesn't have an arm to go 40 yards.
Yeah, I think maybe you could have tried to do a quick out. Maybe that might have been.
But
a better
they would have
play,
known it's coming too. It's
exactly.
We're talking about
at the sticks.
You got maybe a 1% chance of the kick working, less than 1% chance of the Hail Mary working, and I don't know.
I mean, whatever the number is.
If you got Aaron Rodgers, you throw that ball.
Yeah,
definitely, for sure.
But otherwise, no.
Even if it's Alex Smith, I would trust my quarterback a little more off the bat because he's been your starter. But
yeah, I mean, I think if you had tried to get the first down, I mean, the Texans would have been parked at the line of scrimmage near the sidelines. It would have given up the middle of the field, and that would have been the end of it. Probably. So either way, it was a long shot. If the Norman holding call hadn't happened, it might not have been such a long shot. And so
the BS Norman holding call, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't blaming Norman for that.
Yeah.
I thought it was totally.
Or if the Dachshund getting hit by two guys before the ball even gets there gets called as a pass interference, maybe then you have an easy field goal.
I still think I also think that was a dumb play call, but
yeah, not ideal. But I think Colt threw it there figuring he'd get the flag.
Yeah, it would make a lot more sense to throw that ball there. I feel like if you're trying to draw a penalty,
right.
I want to watch that play again and see if it really was.
Quarterbacks don't throw balls to get flags.
Oh,
that's not true at all. Aaron Rodgers has made a career doing it.
No, Aaron Rodgers has got a lot of those, but you don't throw balls for the express purpose of getting a pass interference call. Okay,
people do it all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. I see it all the time.
The intent is not to get a pass interference call. We're going to disagree on that. Let's not argue about that. I disagree.
All right, more homework to do for the rest of this week. So
I don't know how you researched that one.
That's a tough one. What I'm trying to think of a last minute thing.
We got to do game balls.
Yeah. Okay, but here's my last minute thought. All the excuses now are built in for this team not to make the playoffs, and I don't like saying that because the anti-Gruden, the guys who just love to hate on this team, fans who love to trash the team are going to have everything to bitch about with, you lost your starting quarterback and you're going to bring back everybody and you're not going to do anything. But it's a fair reason to say, hey, maybe we're not going to make the playoffs now because you lost your starting quarterback.
This team is cursed with this injury thing. I mean, the past 2 years has just been devastating.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, they've had a lot of injuries. I mean, they've actually done, the truth of the matter is they've done pretty well over the past 2 years.
Given the injury situation, yes.
Yeah. I mean, adapting with and dealing with the injury situation, I think they've done pretty well. Because they also threw this offensive line together over the past 2 weeks. And, they didn't look great today, but, I mean, they've looked better than a disaster.
Right.
Which is what you easily could have had,
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
But it's worth mentioning, this means, think about it, both of our big marquee acquisitions this offseason, and Alex Smith and Darius Geis, we lost them both.
And Paul Richardson.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Good point. So that's really our biggest, acquisitions here in the offseason are all going down. I mean, yeah, you're right. It just seems like
what's ironic?
Thing.
You know what's ironic is in the middle of all this, Jordan Reed hasn't been injured.
Yeah. See, tell me what's not ironic about this team right now. That would be way easier than
the Washington ironies. Yes.
All right, let's do game balls then.
Okay.
Let's get into this. Actually, this shouldn't be too much of a struggle today, right?
No. I'll start off because I got mine too, and I think I'm going to go with the easy two answers. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I'm going to go on defense. I know you guys were trashing him earlier, but I'm giving it to Foster because I'm going to give him credit for both those turnovers that he got. The interception and the thing that was kind of interception, kind of a fumble. Not really sure what we're calling it in the end. But
I thought it was an interception.
Yeah, I'm going to classify that as 2 picks for him. So even though he missed, a few plays and he looked a little slow at times, I'm giving him credit for making 2 big plays there. On offense, I think you got to go with Colt. He came in and he was a spark. He had energy, he had passion that we haven't seen from Alex Smith, who's a little too laid back sometimes.
Boom.
Yeah,
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'm gonna Colt. I think is the clear choice on offense. He came off the bench, played well, like you said, Alex. He was a spark. Did well. So, and plus, I mean, who else really played?
Sure.
The other one would have been Jordan Reed. Honorable mention to Jordan Reed, I guess. But to me, Colt. On defense, I don't know. Defense is tougher to me. I can't go with Mason Foster. I just can't. I mean, I guess I'll go play the numbers and go with Clinton Dix because he had 13 tackles, which is a lot of tackles for one game.
I was going to kind of do the same thing. I'll pick someone else.
Yeah, you can pick the same ones, all right. So I'm going with Colt and Clinton Dix.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well then, I'm going to make it a clean sweep then for Colt. I mean, don't people at home take us too seriously on this. I don't think any one of us is saying, he's the godsend that's going to solve all this team's problems.
No.
We're not saying that by any means, but it is worth noting. You saw a lead change. You saw some fight back. You saw life at the end of the game. That, I think, mostly can be attributed to him coming in and taking control of the offense and just making the throws that Alex Smith is generally, he's cautious and he backs away from making. So you can say that about Cole. I think he absolutely earns the offensive game ball this week.
Yeah.
Defense, it wasn't a terrible game by any means. Like I said, I feel like they did what they needed to win. But there weren't that many standouts, so it's hard for the game ball.
Pick a name out of the hat.
Let's. Swearinger had 3 solo tackles plus a sack. That kind of stands out. Kerrigan, I like seeing come alive still. Screw it. I'm going to go with you, Steve. Let's give it to Ha-Ha and hope he doesn't have a secret horrible concussion.
Yeah, maybe he faked his way through the concussion protocol. It's entirely possible.
I don't think so. He looked pretty with it when they pulled him out.
He wasn't stumbling around like he drank one too many shots.
No.
Or anything. Yeah.
I mean, it's something to be said when a guy comes in his second week in. He's really productive and he's making a ton of tackles. I mean, that's a great thing to be able to say.
He's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is what he should be doing.
We have a good 1-2 at safety right now that hopefully we can keep for a couple years.
We have 2 legitimate starters at safety, which is something we haven't had really probably since Sean Taylor and LaRon Landry.
Yeah.
I'd say straight off the top of my head, because Ryan Clark, he was terrible in his second run.
Well, yeah, and I would actually argue Taylor Clark early on was better than Taylor Landry, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, but I thought Landry was a legit starter. When he replaced Clark.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Fair enough.
Well, how long was Clark? Was only on the team for like 1 year?
No, 3 years.
Was it 3?
Yeah. We drafted him.
Good Lord.
That's one guy they should have kept.
Out.
They should have kept Ryan Clark. We're getting well off the beaten path here.
And we're way over time.
By the way, I meant sorry, but I meant his second stint with the team was only 1
year. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
He looked like it should have been no years.
Exactly. Another thing
I mean, my final thought real fast. I mean, yes, it was a loss, and at the end of the day, a loss is a loss no matter what. It still counts for 1. But this was a game that was probably the NFL's marquee matchup of the week. The Redskins showed fight. They showed some courage in the face of adversity. The defense, by and large, after a whole bunch of smack talking this week, I thought they looked like they had fire and played well. So congrats to them. This is the type of loss that I can live with.
Yes,
and hopefully we'll come back and get one against Dallas next week.
I think things are about to get very interesting in Washington. That's what I think.
Well, good, because I feel like they've been pretty damn boring and predictable. So I'm ready for interesting.
Let's have more controversy.
Yeah, man. Feels like home. All right, well, we will leave it at that. We'll be back, obviously, with you next week for the preview episode. We're going to wait holidays coming up, guys. We got schedule changes coming up. We got to discuss this. But anyways, keep coming back to us for the regular scheduled content. We got our previews. We got our recaps. Keep checking back, and we will see you next time. Take care.